Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and it's my favorite video of the month. It's time to do a currently inked. This is for June of 2024, and I have the Galen Leather Co. Everyday Notebook with Tomoe River paper. It's 52 grams. Occasionally I get asked that. And here is my tray of pens for this month. So here's a little spoiler. You can see what's coming. This will be, for me, a short month of currently inked pens. And the reason being, towards the end of this month, my family and I are taking a vacation. And so I will be, before July 1st, inking up my July pens that I want to take with me. And that way I can schedule that video to upload while I'm on vacation. So despite that, I chose some Twisbees. I haven't written with them in a while. I'm finding myself craving writing with a Twisbee, and I really think this month I chose comfort pens. I work in public school, special education. I'm wrapping up the school year. It's going to be a crunch time the next couple weeks, so I wanted to have pens to reach for that would be comfortable. So the first one is this beauty right here. This is the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande 2.0 with rose gold accents. I also think pens that I chose this week were based on different content creators. For example, Amanda B or Inksplat just got a Leonardo Angel Skin, and it just made me crave wanting to write with it as well. I met up with a fellow YouTuber and was able to try her Pelican M1000, and I remember saying, oh, my Leonardo Elastic Fine nib writes similar to that. I don't need this M1000. That's my self-talk. Do not let me say otherwise. Your girl cannot afford an M1000. Even on a super sale, I probably can't, but maybe. Anyway, let me zoom in just a little bit. And I will, at the end, I did do this swatching on a couple other types of paper. So I will do a comparison at the end. So if you're interested, please stick around. And if you have not subscribed, please do. And feel free to use that little thumbs up like button, because that is going to help push this content to other people. I feel like that's what YouTubers have to say. But all right, so this is the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande 2.0 in Angel Skin. This was originally inspired by, heavily influenced by Karina from Karina Loves to Plan. She was the first one that I saw with this pen, and it just was gorgeous. So when I won some money playing Keno, I purchased it. And this has an elastic fine nib. And this is inked up with a sample sent to me from a viewer. And it's Birmingham Pen Co. Terracotta. I do think a number of my ink selections are sample sent from viewers as well. So apparently I'm having a thankful, grateful moment, and I am celebrating it. The next pen, again, this is another pen. I really enjoy writing with it. The nib just, to me, is lovely. It's an extra fine nib, but it's very wet. And the ink in this one, there's a little bit of a story to it. So when I first got the La Bon Rosa, I filmed a video, and I think during that video there was a little ink splotch that came out, a little burp that came out. And then over the course of the next day, gosh, I need to be able to write and talk at the same time. I noticed that the ink flow was really off, and so I reached out to Gold Spot Pens. They had me send it back, and they replaced the converter. Haven't had an issue with it since. With the exception of the last time that I used it, there was a lot of ink leakage inside of the body, which is likely user error. So this is my time that I'm using it to test that out. But the ink that I first inked it up with, when I first got it, that I thought was a perfect match for this lovely purple/periwinkle and green, was Van Diemen's Honeybee Eater Wing. And through the course of the burping and everything else, the small sample that I had from the Ink Flight or Ink Journal Ink Flight, they do have small samples, and I used up all of it as I went through the course of that day. So a viewer actually sent me this ink so I could have a try again and experience it and determine, is this an ink that I would want in my collection? Oops, I can spell. So far, between exploring this with my 3 Inks Thursday, the number 6, which just recently posted, and doing the swatches on the different papers, I really love this green. So thank you. All right, here's my next one. This is, to me, I find this specific Banu really beautiful. I love the neutral colors. I love the pop of gold. I'm not the flashiest person, so this to me is a really nice balance. And I really like the size of the Euphoria, and I like the faceted body style. And I got this secondhand from a YouTuber, Charmaine Dulac. And this is a pen that, it's a Goulet pen exclusive, and it sold out pretty quickly. They restocked it, it sold out again. And while I was kind of watching it for restock, I saw that she posted it for sale. It was less than brand new, and I jumped on it because that seemed like a really smart move. So this is the new Euphoria. And I do have a Banu Talisman. I like this body size better than the Talisman. The Talisman is a little small. I still love it. It's still gorgeous, but this is, of the two, my favorite. So this one is iced caramel latte. And it took me an embarrassing amount of time to figure out the nib size on this one. And really on the nib, let's see if I can get it to show. There's right here, there's a cursive F. And so that's the nib size. Maybe you can see it a little bit there where the light is catching. And this, I have found myself inking this up with brown inks. It seems like the right thing to do. I stand by my choice. But this is Ferris Wheel Press Steeped Umber. This is another sample from a viewer. And I've gotten some really amazing inks with ink swaps with viewers that I'm just itching to use right now. So I felt like now was the time to live my best life. All right, my next pen is the TWSBI Eco, and this is the cream and rose gold. It's one of the newer colorways from TWSBI. They recently came out with, I think it's a toffee one, maybe. Sorry, I haven't kept up with it because I am trying very hard not to just spend money to spend money on pens. And so if I restrict watching all the new releases and such, then I'm less likely to covet them and be frivolous with my money. So apologies that I'm not in the loop. And this is also inked up with a sample that I got in an ink swap with a viewer and fellow YouTuber, Diana. Sorry, just had a moment where my brain froze. So TWSBI Eco Cream and Rose Gold. And this one has an extra fine nib. And this, and Diana, if you watch this, can you tell me if I'm wrong? But the ink vial says Sailor Chai Latte, but I think this might be the Platinum Chai Latte. And not to be weird, but I gave it a sniff and it doesn't have a typical sailor smell. So I'm going to write Sailor Chai Latte, but let me know if I'm attaching the wrong name to it. I just am remembering when you sent me your list of inks, I felt sneaky in being able to get the ink that I perceived was the ink that came with the new Platinum Century Shape of Heart Chai Latte, because I really want that pen and I really want the ink that comes with it. So it felt lucky, but I could be wrong. And I tried to do a quick internet search before filming this, but my attention span after working all day, it's Thursday the 30th. I'm tired. I didn't have the capacity to spend a lot of time searching it. All right. Oh, let me introduce my love. This is the Pelikan M400 in white tortoiseshell. This is my very, very favorite pen. I think I've had 1 month since getting it that I didn't ink it up, and I regretted that almost the whole month. And I almost did it this month, but needed to remind myself that I would be remiss. So here it is. This is the Pelikan M400. I will not write white tortoiseshell because I'm always worried I will spell tortoiseshell wrong and then I will be mortified. So this is an extra fine nib. It's an incredibly juicy, flexible, bouncy, extra fine nib. When I first got it, I was very taken aback because at that point in my fountain pen journey, I was very into the extra fine and fine, specifically the Japanese extra fine and fine. And so this to me wrote like a broad nib. I have since adjusted and since really come to appreciate a juicier nib, but with the paper that I primarily write with being a Hobonichi paper, which has a 3mm grid, this is about as juicy as I can really get with between my writing style and the paper that I use. And this is inked up with Waringal Stonecutters Song. Oh gosh, why am I blanking? Yes, gosh. Stonecutter Song. So this is an ink I've seen other people use, and it just looked like a color I would love. So when I had the opportunity in an ink swap with Priscilla to snag it, I took full advantage of that. Sorry, Priscilla. Hopefully you got inks that you appreciate just as much as I appreciate yours. And then this will be my black ink for the month. I'm a little nervous because I saw, I think it was Elise Morgan's currently inked that was released a little bit early for June. She selected this ink and I thought, oh, I want to use that. I have that. And so I pulled it out. Now that I've swatched it on a couple different papers, it's leaning a little blue for my work planner or kind of everyday planner, which I've used only black and gray in this year. So I'm a little worried that I will put pen to paper and it will be so drastically blue that I'll have a little panic. We will cross that bridge though. All right, and so the ink is Diamine Tempest. And it does have a shimmer to it. And it does have a little sheen. So it's a very complex ink. All right, let me zoom out just a little bit, just a smidgen. And let's bring in some of the other papers that I swatched these inks on. So first and foremost, in my Hobonichi Hone that I use for journaling and memory keeping, I always set up the monthly page with my currently inked. So this is also Tomoe River paper. It's the Sanzen, the new Tomoe River paper. It does look very similar. I probably should move this and do a little side by side. And if I take this out, that may be easier to read. All right. There we go. So to me, not sure how it's going to look to you, but to me, this is a little bit of a darker color. It's almost a little bit more of a dusty pink versus this a little bit more of a tan. This is a little bit brighter. It has almost an orange hue coming through versus this is a little bit more chocolate. And the shading just shows really beautifully for the Birmingham Pen Co. Terracotta. So that's one comparison. The next comparison is Life Bank Paper. So what I'm seeing is the terracotta looks similar in base color, but it's not coming through with the same shading that, I don't know if the shadow's bothering that, sorry, that I'm seeing at the top here on the Galen Leather Co. Tomoe River. Van Diemen's looks very similar. Maybe this is a little bit darker. The Steeped Umber, again, has a little bit more of a pop of an orangey or brightness. Chai Latte is a little bit lighter. Stonecutter Song is a little bit grayer. So that's interesting. That's fascinating. And Diamine Tempest, it's very dark, so it does look very similar on both papers. Next up is Rhodia. And so again, starting from the top, terracotta looks very similar. Honey Bee Eater looks very similar. Steeped Umber looks very similar, as does Chai Latte. And Stonecutter Song, that looks the same on these two papers. So not a difference between the Rhodia and the Tomoe River. And then last but not least, is Cosmo Air Light. I know that this paper is no longer in production. It is still available at a number of places. Specifically, I know it is available at Galen Leather Co. because I searched there first, because that's where I got mine from. So you can still get this very same notebook. And while I have pages available, I will continue to use it. So the terracotta, I think actually the shading is a little nicer on the Cosmo Air Light. One thing I noticed about Cosmo Air Light in general is the way that the ink hits the paper, it almost spreads out. So you lose the definition of the pen strokes when you're doing the back and forth swatches that I do, and the ink blends together and it looks a little bit more like almost like a paintbrush. The steeped umber, again, beautiful shading. You see some really light side parts there. The other piece with Cosmo Air Light is it really soaks up your finger oils. So wherever you land your fingertips, the ink is not going to saturate in those areas. So there's a chance that that's a fingerprint right there. The chai latte in the swatch, the color looks very similar, but you're able to see a little bit more shading in the Cosmo Air Light because of the way that it's spread out. I'm also just realizing and coming to appreciate the shading in the writing. Wearing Goldstone Cutter Song on Cosmo Air Light, it is leaning a little bit more towards that gray. And then the Diamine Tempest looks the most blue on this paper as compared to all the rest. And I think when I was doing my swatching, this is where my concern started, where I thought, oh no, oh no. So to me, it does look a little closer to black here. I mean, and I think in the writing, it's so dark that it can come across as black. So I will keep you posted. There's a chance when I do my mid-month review that you may not see Diamine Tempest. We shall see. All right. So with that, I am going to sign off. I appreciate the time that you spent with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you in the next one.